Hello, friends, family, and everyone in between. Welcome to the FillGood podcast, the fun little podcast that talks about the good that our friends and family and everyone else does and celebrate them about it. I'm one of your hosts, Byron Filler.
I'm the other host, Mike Osgood. I just had to come into it with a little bit of energy. Byron, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling good. Things have been.
Are you feeling good?
I am feeling good with an I. Things are going well on my end. Like not too many like big things in my world going on, but they're like little things that keep happening here and there. I'm sure people can hear. I just got like a new microphone, so I sound crisp.
You sound
nice.
Fucking beautiful. Right now.
Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that, because before I've always felt very insecure. Not insecure about my voice, insecure about the playback of my voice. And it wasn't until I got this wonderful microphone here that I realized that audio equipment is crap. It's all awful.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, what else is good and going on? I'm getting married in less than a month, and like everything's kind of just coming together, and especially during COVID, in trying to pull together a COVID safe wedding and making sure that people who aren't going to be there are happy as well. It's been working.
It has been working. And for all those who do not know Marissa and Byron have put together the most well-documented, the most precise, concise list and parameters to their wedding that would make the CDC cry with how beautiful and how well put together this thing is. They have basically precise blueprints of the layout of their wedding, who's sitting what where, the baskets of treats that everybody get. It's beautiful. It's basically like a before you go list. I've never seen one. I've been to bajillion Airbnbs that have had way worse guides, and your wedding list is just, it's a piece of art.
Well, like when you're doing wedding planning, you're thinking through and like coming up with all of this stuff anyways. So really the circumstance of trying to do all these things is just about making it like COVID safe. And especially if it's like we're doing this in my mom's backyard, it's going to be outdoors, like we're still having people like wear masks and things like that. It just is like there's that consideration, especially if you're going to have like people who may not be feeling so safe being around people. And who knows what's going to happen a couple weeks from now, even though we're all having access to the vaccine. It's just we're trying to make sure that we're having a fun time. That's all I care about.
If it involves you, if it involves Marissa, guaranteed it's going to be a good time. So don't fret. Don't fret.
Stop it, you.
Don't fret.
Well, enough about me. Mike, how are you doing? What's good with you?
Oh, man, what's good over here? It's been a busy week. It has been busy. I've had a lot of phone calls, a bit of everywhere. My apartment got fixed finally.
Yay.
So that's good. Landlord, I think I trashed you a little bit in our begons today, but
I was going to say she didn't find out in this episode.
Find out in this episode what happens. No, our apartment finally got fixed. It took a while, but
awesome.
Yeah. What's good with me? My tree in my backyard is gone, but so much more daylight is shining into my apartment, as Byron can see via this Zoom that we're recording.
I can see clearly now the tree is gone.
Oh, that's better one.
I can see all the obstacles. What is that?
That is a Captain America shield in my background.
I dig it.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's gonna be a bright, sunshiny. Oh my eyes. No. Yeah, that's me every morning. I come here, I sit here at this chair, pull up the microphone, I open up the drapes, and it's like, holy hell, that's a whole lot of sun. But
Yeah.
it's nice because I didn't have that before, and I get it now. So I get my vitamin D while I'm working. Life is good, life is beautiful. And the last good thing that's going on, I've almost worked out every single day in March. So I'm feeling
Yes.
good. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling on top of things. It's good.
Those are my goals right there. I got to get to a point where I can sustain that energy every day to work out every day.
It's kind of cheesy, but the Apple Watch, Apple, we're accepting sponsors. The Apple Watch has this thing that keeps track of like your activity, your how many hours you stand up, and
Yeah.
how many minutes of exercise you do. And you have to like close these rings, and seriously, gamifying fitness
Interesting.
is the only thing that really gets me to get up and get moving. Like I am a person who has a lot of energy, as many people can contest to. It's really hard for me to sit still. I'm sitting here talking with my hands right now and my foot shaking. So that just kind of gives you an example of how much energy I really have. I'm
sorry, I don't resonate with that.
I mean, okay.
The fidgeting and needing to get up and walk around, but like the massive amounts of energy that you need to consume to be on all the time. No, none of that.
I am constantly moving, which this watch can contest to. But I challenged myself to do something every day this month, and I have so far. We're recording this on the 26th, and it's so close to finishing this month with a perfect month. So
amazing.
That's what's good in my life. But you want to know what else is good, Byron?
What else is good, Mike?
Our chat with singer-songwriter Rod Kim.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Our guest this week, everybody, is an amazingly talented person. He can play a bit of everything. He can sing a bit of everything. And he honestly just has a really great insight and outlook on life, and a true testimony to the power of patience.
Oh yeah,
you'll hear as we go through this interview about just kind of struggles that he's gone through with, one, being an Asian American in show business, but also how to take on the opportunities and challenges that 2020 threw at him being an entertainer. And I've known this guy for years. I'm absolutely enamored by him and his talent. He's such a great guy. But also, one thing that we also want to call out too is that we'd love it if you all can stay around towards the tail end of the episode, where we want to acknowledge everything that's been going on in the world, especially around the attacks on members of the AAPI community.
We want to provide you with some more information and where Mike and I both stand on it and had the good that we want to put out there into. And we've also got some words of wisdom from Rod, who we asked to come back after this to share his thoughts and what he would like to see from the greater community too. So please stick around for that. We are super excited to get into this though, as we're talking about Rod.
Yes, and we hope that you all love Rod as much as we do.
We really do.
So without further ado, here is our interview with Rod Kim. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, family, and everybody in between, today we are with the one, the only, the legendary, the beautiful hair man with the glasses. I'm not talking about Byron. We're talking about Rod Kim. Rod,
it really is beautiful.
It is.
Thank you.
You've definitely had
the quarantine hair.
I was going to say, you've had the best quarantine hair that I've seen out of everybody.
When you flip
thank
it,
you.
does glitter shimmer out of your hair?
No, just my glasses, like, just fly off. Somewhere I'll send it to you. I have slow mo footage because a friend was like, "You gotta do a slow mo like anime thing." I was like, "Okay, how hard could it be?" It's like, nope.
Dude, yes. And if we can use that for your social post when we introduce you, yes. But anyway, we are here with Rod Kim. Rod, thank you so much for joining us. We are incredibly humbled by your presence here.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Besides being late to this, which is funny because I was just saying like, this is the first thing I've been late to in a year, and it's in my own home.
You want to wait? It's just a sign of things finally getting close to normal again. So let's soak it up. Let's enjoy it. We got to have a whole lot of bullshittery conversations.
We were talking about hot sauce. It was great.
Do you have a favorite hot sauce?
I don't normally like hot things and stuff, so normally it's like the actual peppers instead of like the sauce. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
As far as sauce, the craziest I usually get is like the mild sauce of Taco Bell or like Del Taco or something. I know that's like so many people are like, oh, delete, cancel.
No,
No, not at all.
For far too long, that was the fullest extent of my hot sauce. And then I slowly but surely got my way up to, I think I got to Diablo sauce. I think.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But
Del Taco.
I've also somewhere.
Okay.
And then I also haven't had Taco Bell in probably 10 years. Just because I have some good taco spots right around the corner from my place. So
I was very much anti-spicy for like childhood through all the way up to mid-20s, and then somebody introduced me to sriracha sauce, and I was like, "What is this? It's complete and utter magic." And then I was just spicy forever. I'll never go back.
nice.
I do like the right kinds of spicy though. That's why I usually say like I like putting peppers in things. As far as hot sauces though, I also have a little bit of PTSD for it because I didn't love it before, but some of my friends have a channel called Reckless Eating.
Okay.
And it's kind of what it sounds like. And so I was on their channel a few times eating things like ants, and then we had another one where we had to do like something like 2 million Scoville unit hot sauce, but like you couldn't just eat it. The challenge was like to put like a teaspoon or something in your mouth and then hold it for 5 minutes.
No.
No. You know,
I'm like coughing from just the sheer pain of like imagining that.
There's one clip that I wonder if we could release it now because RAP YouTube Space, but we recorded at YouTube Space, and for some reason, I guess some reason, like probably obvious reasons, like they legally wouldn't let us like release it because it was also with Reckless Eating. They had us do a challenge where me and my then bandmate would like perform a song while they fed us like concentrated capsaicin powder, and like at the end of it, it looked like a bee stung my face.
Oh my. So can you tell me who these friends are again so I know which channels to block after this? As much as I'd love to make some new friends, I don't know if I could do that to myself.
Unfortunately,
he doesn't have the constitution.
For those who aren't familiar with Rod Kim, Rod is a singer-songwriter who has made tons of catchy hits. He is also a YouTuber. He's done a variety of great videos. But Rod, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Thanks. Yeah. My name is Rod Kim. I grew up in Kokomo, Indiana. Not the Beach Boys song. The opposite, actually. Spent a decade after college in. I skipped college. I went to college at Greenville University for music, and then spent the decade after college on the East Coast, and then about a little over 5 years ago moved to LA, where I am now and have been since, and have survived the pandemic so far. Hopefully, by the time this gets posted, I'll still have survived.
Fingers crossed. We'll keep everybody posted on his mortality.
And ever since the last year, I've been songwriting full time, which is, I know most people's like backup plan, but it was my dream since college. Like I love being a songwriter. Performing is great, but I'm in my late 30s now, and the tour bug is like left my system.
Rod, before we start chatting even more about you and your story and everything, we like to expunge the bad in what we like to call our moment of bad. We take about 60 seconds, if we can make ourselves say this in 60 seconds, but we like to take one thing we'd like to take three things that have annoyed us over the past week, and we like to make them begone. So I'll start us off real quick with my first bad, which I am going to begone procrastination. Because I waited right before this podcast to write down my bads. So with procrastination, be gone!
Be gone!
Byron, what's your bad?
All right, so lately I've been having a little bit of stress and anxiety, and some of that stress and anxiety causes my brain to kind of have, I'll call it a feedback loop, and then that loop kind of compounds itself, causing more stress and anxiety, and it's just, I'm enraged. I just want it to be gone.
Be gone. Rod, what's your first bad?
So this is more of like the last like 9 or 10 months than specifically the week, but it's come to mind recently because WandaVision has kind of like triggered me a little bit with it. But be gone with gaslighting.
Yes. Oh my God, be gone.
Be gone, gaslighting. My second bad that I would like to get out of here is my landlord wants to get rid of this big ass tree that I love in the backyard. It's beautiful. It's great. It's nature. Keep it back there. But she wants it to be gone. So I'm going to be gone her and just tell her to get out of here. Leave me with my tree.
Everybody notes if Mike's like landlord disappears this week.
I still haven't met this woman, so like,
you wouldn't even know.
I wouldn't even know. Like she could be here. She could walk by.
So is that unknown begone?
It's an unknown begone.
Unknown begone.
I'm gonna send her an email and just be like, "Take this request and be gone."
Let's see. I'm having a little frustration reading about the tabloid-fueled racism around the incident with Meghan Markle and the royal family. And my family, half my family is British. I'm just feeling a little disappointment in half of my bloodline. Be gone with that shit.
I'll double down on that. I didn't think about that until I heard about it this morning.
It's really sad.
Be gone with racism, but come on with the Oprah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rod, what's your second bad?
Be gone with fake gurus who take advantage of emotionally vulnerable.
Ooh.
I'm not going to call anybody out specifically, but I work in music and YouTube, and so that's like a lot of people.
Yes.
That's be gone with that. But hold on, we need to make it mystic. Be gone.
Be gone with your falsehoods and your puffery. Be gone. My third one is going to tie into my second one, but I'm also going to say be gone with my landlord again. Because I've been trying to get things fixed in my apartment for the past month. And actually, no, past 2 months. And they can't schedule things for shit. And I'm like, if you just give me money, I'll get it fixed. It'll be fine. But no, they want to do it themselves. So you want to know what? They can take their procrastination and they can be gone.
Be gone.
Yes. Byron, what's your last bad?
My last bad is I'll be going on a walk. I'll be seeing people who like have their masks around their chin or they're playing with their masks, and it's just like totally defeating the whole, like half of the purpose of what the mask is supposed to be. Like, okay, you get sick because you are touching your face. Stop touching your face. Big on hands.
It's also been a year.
I know.
It's been a year.
What are you doing?
It's been a year. So I don't.
Be gone.
I don't get it.
Well, I'm gonna double down on that too.
Do it. Awesome. Rod, what's your last?
My last one is when my Postmates arrives cold, like the food, not the person.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, when your Postmates
It happens a lot for me.
When your Postmates deliver.
Have you ever had a Postmates person just be like, "Look, can I come in for a second?"
It's it's a little cold outside. Do you mind if I just soak up your heater for a little bit? It's like, no, be gone. Awesome. Thank you for expunging that negativity and bringing on that optimism and all that positivity. And that has been our moment of bad. So, as all good transitions have, we're going to change subjects now. We're going to talk about you, Rod.
Awesome.
What we would love to know is, like all good superheroes, everybody has an origin story. What was your origin, and what was those moments of you wanting to become a songwriter?
Ooh. So I guess like the first seed probably was like when I was younger. I remember the very first CD I got was Green Jelly. That didn't have much to do with songwriting. But then the first CD I bought for myself was the maxi single of One of Us by Joan Osborne. And then that avalanched into like music collections. So that happened for a while. And then like, well, just to condense a portion of the story, I was, my family was like the only Asian family in Greentown, Indiana / Kokomo, Indiana. And there were challenges with that like many didn't understand. And so like a song, like my albums were like, it sounds cheesy, but it was like, they were like my best friends, you know, like I had close friends, you know, shout out to everybody else, but like there was a consistent, like those albums are still here.
Yeah.
even when I went through like the religious phase and burned a bunch, I got some back, you know.
That works. That works.
But then in college, I went to school for music, and I don't know what I had in my head. The school I went to, they kind of had what they called like, the school didn't coin this term, but everybody else called it the rock star degree, because it was a contemporary music degree. It was basically music that was a music degree that wasn't like based in classical music, which is like every other music degree. And in the process of it, I realized like my favorite part was the actual like writing the songs. And then everything else was okay, or something I like slogged through. Like production is great, and there's elements of it that I like. Like I love being in the space when someone comes with a great idea, or sometimes I come with a great idea and stuff. Yeah. But there's some people who are built to do that like 24/7. Not this guy, you know. Like like I can do like moments of inspiration and like as far as production and stuff. But there's some people like I like my friend Dirty Hollywood. Like I could just be like, oh, this thing, this vibe, and this, you know, everything, and then like he'll just pull all these ideas together. I'm like, oh my god, like where did you come up with that, you know?
Yeah.
But the actual writing part, I love like the melodies and the lyrics and stuff, like and things. And it's funny because at the time it was like, oh, that's smart. It's like you know, as far as music business goes, that's like technically where the money is. As we've seen in the last couple of decades, that's changed a lot. Yeah. But so none of it's exactly lucrative anymore, or at least guaranteed. I mean, some people are, but like by the time I got out of college and like years after that, you know, it was expected that you were like all in one. You're like the artist, producer, songwriter, and all this stuff. And I spent a number of years like just trying to do all of that stuff, and I think I did fine. Like, you know, I had few like major complaints and stuff, but up until this past July 2020, everything was working up to the point where I could like name my gig, you know. So it was like, when I get to this point, I'm going to say I'm just writing songs, you know. Like
it's a challenging balancing act to because you want to be there's like some unspoken requirement that you should just be good at all these things, and then you kind of get to this point where like, okay, that's just unreasonable. I just have to focus on one thing because this is getting insane.
Yeah. And there are people that are great at a lot of things, and that's awesome, and I worship them. That's amazing. But like, not to say that I mean, I don't know. I might have the potential, if I set my mind to it, like to be the greatest ever producer or, you know, artist or whatever and stuff. And I still want to be an artist to a certain extent, but I'm not setting out to, you know, be another John Mayer or something. Like I just want to put the music I want to put out. I'm more of the Sia model. I want to write a bunch of songs and then put whatever hell album I want out and take it or leave it, you know.
Yeah.
It might be successful, it might be a flop, but
we wanted to ask you about, like, especially during COVID, like, you know, the music industry is incredibly difficult to maneuver through already. Like, how are you keeping creativity and momentum going when it's just like you can't? I mean, even just think of things like you can't go out and perform. Like
You can't
something as
practice
simple as
with
that.
other people because you're literally isolated to your own place. Like,
Yeah.
So
how?
what's kind of funny, I don't know if this is just me because this happened in college too, but all the things you just like explained as challenges were actually like the power ups for me.
Oh, really?
I was like, I ain't got to deal with anybody. Um, so like actually where I left off at kind of segues into this perfectly because I was like, I'm gonna get to a point where I want to work to a point where I can like name my gig. And then like COVID happened, we lived it there for a few months, and then July a bunch of like major life changes happened, and at that point I was like, fuck it, like what am I waiting for? If there's a year to bomb, it's this year, and I want to go for it. So I literally, and I'm sorry if any of my friends are hearing this that I did this too, but like I quit any gig that wasn't a songwriting thing or something that I was like really, really super like personally passionate about. And it was tough for a while, but I think we made up. They said we made up. Because in the end I was like, you too though should have something, because there was some other, I'm in LA, so there's like film related things and stuff, and it's fun to be a part of, but like I didn't go to school for film or cinematography or any of that stuff, so I feel like I'm just kind of like hacking at something that someone else is like really dying to do.
Yeah.
So I just kind of went for broke, literally, and it was tough for a little bit. And I don't want to make it sound like I made it or anything. Like, besides a couple of projects, you probably haven't heard of most of them. This isn't a dig at any of the projects or people I've been working with and stuff. It's just that like, obviously it'd be great someday to like write a hit for Ariana Grande. That'd be awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, but I'm not afraid of working towards that. And I love, it's so cheesy. Like the like it's like the reward is the journey, not the destination. And that's so true. I don't know if like why it took, 30 some odd years to figure that out. So like I'm in this road that I'm liking the steps. So
Yeah.
if the destination's great, that's awesome. But along the way I wasn't just like chugging along to get to this like one point,
Yeah.
Well, the destination has that much more of a reward because what you went through was worthwhile with every step. Even the hard and the good part of it, you became the whole person that you needed to be. And that, I know, I agree with you. That in itself is so exciting.
Yeah, and so like it, I did. So something that was kind of restricted for me before because of some like business arrangements was like I wasn't allowed to take gigs that like weren't. When I say gigs, not like playing out like writing or anything like that. I wasn't allowed to take gigs that didn't pay. Yeah. And I get that, know your worth and everything, but at the same time, there's just like stuff I want to be involved in, And so with this, I was taking paid projects. I was taking projects that I just like dug, I believed in or something, and I very soon got like really busy in a good way. Like I had to start kind of keeping my own office hours. So I have a cat now, and she wakes me up at like sunrise every morning because she's still enamored by it, which is really sweet. But it keeps me nice and tired. But from around a little bit after that to like around dinner time, I make that like my gonna write these things, gonna work on these projects, and sometimes it's if there's a bunch of big projects, if there's not like an immediate deadline, I'll just chip away at a bunch of them a little bit every day, so like it doesn't feel like work. It feels like it's like tricking the creativity to go into like a work pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I'm so inspired now, and it happens to be between work hours.
Yes. Totally.
And so it's been doing that, and then also the second kind of part of that was I don't know how many points I made so far, but the next part of that was I'm in Los Angeles, and a friend who's kind of higher up at like a big company that deals with like some of the stuff that I work in, kind of like not insider, but just generally said like, hey Rod, what you just told me, because I told him the same thing I told you guys, was you're making kind of a smart decision because like everybody else is leaving town, and so that kind of dovetailed with something that I've always thought about since like college. Maybe was like so many opportunities are like grocery store lines. Like people get tired and they get out of line, but then you just keep getting closer, and all you got to do is stand there. I want to think that I'm skilled and/or talented, but what definitely also helped that, even if I'm not, was that everybody else left. So when someone called, yeah, I could be there like in a couple days or like that afternoon or something like that, you know, because something else that I kind of had a little bit of forethought on was I was doing a lot of songwriting sessions over like Zoom or whatever the 100 different streaming platforms are, but some things required or just better in person. So I was just getting COVID tested every week just in case. So there was always like a window that I would have like an all clear, and it made me available for a lot of things. And so I don't know. It was just I don't want to like dog on anybody that left town because I completely get it. But it definitely helped me a lot sticking around because I was here. You know.
It's such a hard choice.
It's a super difficult choice, but there's something to be said about like the power of patience. You know, patience and determination can be seen kind of hand in hand, sometimes to a fault, but also if you have the right mindset, similar to what you had, like you can see it pay off in the end.
It's funny you say that too, because my at the end of 2019, not knowing what 2020 had in store, my only resolution was to learn patience.
Ooh.
What did I know? If I even knew.
The ultimate year of testing everybody's patience. Brad, I think one of the big things that we also wanted to ask you about, just because you have such a close tie to it, and also just because, and let me know if I'm assuming if I'm wrong, you are an Asian American going into entertainment.
How'd you know?
You know, I assumed. But no, fuck me, right? No, but you're an Asian American that's working in entertainment, which is notoriously famous for kind of discriminating against like Asian actors and Asian entertainers and everything. And I have been fascinated just by talking with you in the past and just hearing about your success and how it's gaining momentum. How have you persevered? I would love to just kind of hear from you, like some of your experiences, but also what's kept you going.
It's interesting. Like it's like really loaded because I just do like a mini series about this, you know. And I don't want to make it sound too dramatic. And yeah, I don't want to make it sound like too heavy because it's probably not what most people assume. But at least in my experience, and I also don't want to speak for like all Asian Americans, but like that everything you just described has and me standing my ground has, I put this broadly possible, I've lost a lot of like friends and or like acquaintances from standing my ground in it, mainly because for a myriad of reasons, but I want to say like a good chunk of it is getting told a lot that like I'm getting a pass or like an easy ride because minorities get everything easy in America, you know. And I want to give some people credit to there's moments that might be like when I was in high school applying for college, they were like, oh, there's minority scholarships that some of like my white friends couldn't apply to and stuff. But like I had one of my I won't say which entertainment industry, but like one of my entertainment industry friends at the time, we don't speak anymore, but one of the breaking points was like we were hanging around and on the front end on their the thing that the public sees and their advertising and all the like the celebrity stuff that you see with them, there's like BLM, like fight for rights, like LGBTQ plus rights and stuff. But I'm at their apartment and they're like, you know, Rod, like some days I just wish I was a black trans woman so my YouTube channel will just take off, you know.
What?
And I said I wasn't gonna name the entertainment. I just said YouTube. Whatever, it's out there.
We can edit that out.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of YouTubers who do that.
I think that's like 90% of you.
But it was that, and then you know like so with something that I've learned during the pandemic, because I've seen a lot of friends on Facebook post like during lockdown, what have you learned about yourself? And every time my answer is the same. It's like, I've learned that despite my entire life people telling me how outgoing I am, like I'm 1,000% introverted. Hence why like I kind of got my groove back by like not being bothered by like humans.
What a coincidence.
As an introverted person who was introverted before this pandemic, I see you.
Yeah.
And as the sole extrovert on this conversation, I am dying. I'm dying so bad.
So I feel bad for. I have other friends that are just like there's not good right now, and I feel terrible about that. But like, I say that because I kind of like that realization kind of like had me like look back and like what things are you and what things were you just like told or credited because of appearances or something, you know? I don't know. Like, so like with the Asian American thing. I actually, if you check out the RKBC channels, the channel I host, I usually do like music theory breakdowns of like famous theme songs, sometimes with the composers. But one of the videos that was a little like off that topic was I had a video go up called Asian Men Are Unattractive. Super clickbait title,
Of course.
but also is relevant to what's happening in it because like what I kind of say in there is that people just assume that like in any entertainment dynamic that like I'm like the business or the accounting or even like engineering or something more technical, you know, like, and as far as from the creative side as someone can take it, like they'll be like, oh, and then whoever you're working with, like they're the creative minds. And I was like, nah, like I'm so bad at business.
Like fuck stereotypes, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess like maybe I'm like competent in certain things. I feel like that shouldn't be like an amazing thing. That should be like a baseline for some, you know, out of survival. You know, as an independent artist or musician or whatever, you got to be able to like know how to like build your own Squarespace site or something. But you're
not going to be good at anybody is not going to be good at absolutely everything. You can learn as much as you want, but it is only possible for you to actually just be good at like one thing, and if you focus on that, then you don't end up in a situation where you're just floundering. It's a survival skill so that you're just not floundering in your own waste.
Yeah, because also, you know, other things is like to make sure I'm just not getting the wool pulled over my eyes on certain aspects. So, you know, sometimes contractually, sometimes music wise, you know, like production stuff or whatever. Like, even though like I don't feel like I'm like the best producer, when a producer sends me something, I hear I know what they're doing. Like I hear it, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so glad you came up with that. And I can appreciate it and stuff, and also, you know, weigh in a little bit without trying to like do the plumbing for them. Or I hope not. Somebody's going to correct me. They're like, Rod, you're a pain in the ass to work with.
I mean, he did show up 45 minutes late. It's totally fine.
I know, God.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh, my God. My heart's sake. I was like, you can't be late to this. It's at your house. But yeah, it's weird because I feel like a lot of times it's been fighting things that just aren't true. And then, but at the same time, like, not all, but like there was a huge chunk of it that like only affected me if I let it affect me, you know?
Yeah.
And so like what you did at the beginning of the podcast, like Be Gone, like I just kind of like let a bunch of shit go, and life's been grand, you know?
That's
like,
why we do this. Which I think honestly can kind of align to another subject that we wanted to talk to you about. You're a singer, you're a songwriter, and you've had a lot of stuff that has happened throughout your life, and as you've done this, what has been that thing that's kind of made you feel good?
So recently, the gratitude journal has really helped like focus like the reasons like to keep going. Kind of, I don't know, a lot of things. It's not just that, but so just a little bit of background. Like I'm gonna say, like a little over 3 years ago, there were things called conventions, and
I remember those.
So Patreon has this convention, or they had this convention every year, and I ran into, I don't want to make it sound like we're best friends or whatever, we're acquaintances. I don't know if she would recognize me off the street, but we would run into each other at conventions and stuff. Her name's Katie Morton. She's a wonderful therapist on YouTube, and I was talking to her there, and I think Patreon actually put a video clip of this up with me asking, I asked two things from her. I was like, hi, as a creator, two things. I have a really hard time internalizing anger, and I want to try to like figure out like what's the right way of doing that. And then second, the reason I have that anger is because like when I'm trying to like frame things to the best of my ability, like not positively necessarily, but like so they can function, you know? Because like if I'm just like down in the dumps, like I just can't like it's hard. It's so hard to like kind of press forward. So I want to like frame my perspective so that at least something's worth doing. But especially in like social media and stuff at the time and even now, like everybody's like algorithm this platform screwing me over, this is that, everything's everybody else's fault. And I'm like, that might be true, that might not be true, because I have friends that work at those platforms and they're like, that's not true. And they have creator friends, they're like, they're lying too. And it's like, I don't know what to say, like so I asked her like, how do you deal with that? And so the two things she told me was like, for your first question, you're not supposed to internalize anger. So if you need to go to like a break room and pay them $20 to smash bottles for half an hour, then go do that. So that was that.
I mean, that just sounds like fun.
Yeah. Therapeutic and a half.
Exactly.
The second thing she said was, so with your friends, first set boundaries with them. Just tell them like, I'm not going to go there, not because of you, but I need this for me. And if they can't respect the boundary, then that's we got to figure that thing out. But part of that is like, but be grateful every day, and it might mean taking a journal. So when you put a notebook by your bed nightstand, and when you wake up every morning, just write one thing that you're genuinely like thankful for, no matter how small. And she's like, even if you wake up and you're like, I'm glad I opened my eyes today, or I woke up, or like I got a good night's sleep, or I'm looking forward to breakfast or something. Just as long as it's like true and like I actually feel it, and it's not some bullshit that I'm just like writing down for the heck of it. And so I started doing that, and then I want to say like a month into that. So that was the beginning of November. By Thanksgiving, my grandfather passed away. He was over 100 years old, and I didn't. This is terrible to say. I didn't expect to get too emotional because he lived in Korea, and I haven't seen him since I was a kid, but like even before, we didn't get to see him a lot. But I don't know, maybe there is something to like the generational like chains and lines and stuff, and like it just feeling like the top of that food chain just kind of like fall off. It's just like it hit me, and but at the same time, like in that cycle of grief, it was much different than when I lost other people in my life. All of a sudden, it was just like, wow, he would be like over 100 years old. That was a good run. He had more hair than my dad, like, like he wasn't gray. Yeah. Like, also like, holy crap. Like, I'm telling this story, my grandfather, to my friends. I'm like, oh, my dad does that too. And then I noticed like, there's all these things that my dad does that he did. And then I'm like, and then I do these things that my dad does. It's like, oh my God, I'm like seeing it now. And so that like, kind of like, it was like, Rod, this is working. Like, you're still sad. Like, you didn't try to spin this and like, well, at least he's in heaven now, or something, whatever. People like, it was just fine. Everybody copes differently and stuff. I feel like if I was going to say that to myself, I probably would have been lying at the time.
Yeah.
But I was going through it, like, I was genuinely going through the process, but like with the right glasses on, I think is the easiest way I always describe it. Like I can see things in the right perspective. And then I kept it up for like another year. And after that year, like I went back on not New Year's Day, but somewhere around there, and like read the previous year's thing, and I was like, oh, like I don't know, it's weird, it's so cheesy to say, but it's like there was like a lot of good stuff that happened, and then like I don't know if it's a credit to just being grateful or like because how it affected my persona and stuff, but the end of 2019 ended up being like really, 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 really great for me career-wise. Got some of the biggest like music contracts I'd ever gotten and stuff, and famous last words. But for me, it ended up being in a good way. At the end of 2019, it's like 2020's got a lot to live up to. It's like,
yeah,
challenge accepted.
I mean, technically it did.
Yeah. Just a little.
And even then, I've kept it up to the point where it became like autonomous. So like now, like I kind of like look around, and it's like you focus. When you're like playing like I'm playing Witcher right now. So if you're playing a video game and you go like to vision mode or whatever, and you see the things that are glowing and stuff. Like I feel like it's that now. It's like, oh man, like that's dope. Like it's really cool.
I want eagle vision.
Yeah, right.
I want it so bad. I just not even because I want to see through things. I just want to know where things are exactly as they are, with colors highlighting them, and that's it. As long as I know, my anxiety will just drop.
That will alleviate so many arguments in my household of, Michael, where the fuck did you put the remote? Oh, hold on 1 second. And then it's just highlighted.
You got to follow this like dry blood trail. It's like, why is there blood? Just don't ask.
It's not blood. It's jelly. I'm sorry. I'll clean it up too.
That's what I'm discovering in the game so far. It's like it's always like blood stains, and somehow he's able to like cast a spell to figure out like she was 28 and on her way to. I was like, some of them blood.
It's like an early episode of CSI where everything just has semen all over it. You know.
I never watched it.
You never watched CSI?
Black light in your own eyes. Oh god.
Just like do yourself a favor and watch the first couple seasons of CSI, and you'll be like, oh, so that's where they got that mechanic from.
I think I can talk about this because it's been long enough. But if I disappear in a week, then come looking. So in a previous life, I worked in AV, and one of the things was there was like a investigation. Like for like law enforcement and stuff, like convention kind of whatever, and the keynote speaker, and I can't even remember her name, so I was not even gonna out her. She was a consultant to Hollywood for like shows like that. I don't know if she specifically did those shows, but it sounds like something she did. And her job was to give television like completely wrong yet plausible things that could happen, because obviously you don't want like the public to know investigation methods.
Interesting.
And then the parts that I know I can't repeat, she showed how they actually worked, and then my mind was blown. And I'm just like, pushing 2 faders. I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
damn.
Don't do illegal things, guys. Everybody's watching. But that was like 15 years ago, so I'm sure, like, I don't even know if that's still the case, or everything's kind of moved on from that. But that after that, I was like, I don't know. I didn't really have like a whole lot of interest to watch those shows. But after that, it was like whatever fraction there was like, I'm just gonna see her speech when I watch this.
Nice.
It's Ice-T speaking, but it's really just like her lecture coming out of his mouth.
Exactly. Yeah. The gratitude journal, when you first told me about this, you mentioned this to me like a couple months ago, I think, just talking about writing and that, and I kind of took something from that conversation that we had, and I started doing this cheesy thing in the morning of what I just called manifest positivity.
Okay.
You wake up sometimes just like on the wrong side of the bed. You wake up and feel groggy, and you get out and you're just like, fuck. Or at least I do. And I would just have this moment of just kind of like a mental check of, okay, I literally just woke up. There's nothing at this moment that should be bothering me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit there and just kind of like, I literally throw my hands up in the air for, like at some moments of just like, I'm just going to manifest some positivity. And I just like act like I'm throwing fireballs or something up there. I'm just like, all right, manifest some positivity. And then it's sort of like our Begone moment of just kind of alleviating some of that. But when you told me about this gratitude journal, I was like, God damn, like therapy works. But two, it's such a great just insight of being able to take those nuggets of what you are actually truly grateful for in your life. And I can imagine like just kind of seeing those things of things that the little things that you take for granted just kind of grow into so much more, like seeing the things of how you're similar to your dad and how that was similar to your grandfather and how your grandfather had better hair than your dad. Did you foresee that happening? Like, were you surprised at how well that worked for you?
I think I was kind of like just like a wounded animal stage, because it's funny because it doesn't even feel like it was me now. Like, I remember the memory, but it's like I watched it on TV or someone told me about it. But if I remember correctly, I was just so like torn, because it was like I'm on the precipice of just being severely angry depressed, like not even just like sad depressed, like just like and like this person that is also like very like credible at what she does give me this advice that sounds very doable and like plausible, and so I was like, I'll try it, like let's do it. And so I guess kind of I think I was hoping, but I didn't know. But at the same time, like I I was trying not to be preachy about it. I'm sure it came across. I'm sure I did at some point, just because when something that amazing happens, it's like your friend tries weed for the first time, suddenly becomes a chemist. you know, they're like, well, when you take this and this and this, I know, dude.
Whoa.
Like, I've been there. It's okay, bud.
Right.
We've been trying edibles.
Just
for a
like
while,
calm
don't
down.
worry.
Just take another puff. You're gonna be okay.
But so I'm there was probably something like that, but also I love that like you took the thing and didn't take it like verbatim like a Gwyneth Paltrow Goop thing or something, like take this cream for $45 a bottle or something. It was like whatever worked for you, because that's the same thing I did. So she told me like write one thing every day and when you wake up, or I think she said either when you wake up or go to bed, and I was like, I ain't gonna. Usually I just pass out, so I'm not gonna remember.
The second you find that bed,
but when I wake up,
done.
yeah, or sometimes I never make it to bed.
Yeah.
Just wherever I'm at. But I know when I wake up, like I can at least even if I somehow can't write it, I can like think it or something. There's something there. So at the beginning, I was like, okay, in the morning, that's the first thing I'll think of and write down. But also I knew that I needed some sort of like accountability. So I actually started those first, like I want to say 30 days or a month or whatever. I was posting on Twitter and Facebook. I had like hashtag RK is grateful for. And I just told all my friends, like, if you need to mute me for like the next 30 days, like go for it. But I know there's like a chunk of friends that would like get on my back if I like missed a day. Yeah, so I knew myself that like if I just had at the beginning, if I just had like a book that only I knew about to write in, there was like a really heavy chance that I would skip like a week and then like on Sunday like write 7 things down and then show my roommate like, look, I did it. But it was really important to do like every morning. Otherwise, like if I just wanted to like be thankful all at once, I would just do Thanksgiving every couple of weeks or something. I've told like other people the general idea of it, and I'm like, I don't want to sound like a guru in that sense, like I know what I'm talking about or like it fixed everything, but I just wanted to like highlight that in my adult life, it's probably like one of, if not the most like pivotal like decisions, I think, like life, like habit changes, I made.
Yeah.
But that's so important for you to create that, because no one else can really do that for you. Create validation. You have to manifest it and find that fulfillment.
Oh, and I think we were talking about this a couple days ago, but like, it's another reason is I haven't been navigating like discussing it very well. Is that it's tough to get confused with like this kind of like toxic positivity kind of thing. Like we're just always look for the good in something. It's like, well, maybe sometimes there's not.
No.
I don't know. Like sometimes
a crab sandwich is a crab sandwich.
Right.
It's also asking people to just do so much work that it's like, maybe I should be spending my time looking for, not even looking for good, just looking for that thing that's important. And it doesn't have to be good or bad. It just has to have meaning.
Yeah. So like I'm lucky that I feel like I don't want to make up statistics, but I feel like there's a good majority of like Americans that like the worst isn't the worst, like that things could be. And I say that coming from perspective, like my father, when he was really, really young, his family escaped from North Korea. That's a whole nother like, I remember being like a teenager and like, Dad, I didn't make show choir. Like my life is over. And he's like, oh, it's kind of like when we lost your aunt across the North Korean border. We never saw her again. We don't know if she's still alive, but I understand. I'm like, I'm just going to go to my room now.
It's like, oh shit, Dad. Fine.
I don't think he was trying to be a jerk about it. He was just like trying to relate, but those were his stories,
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that all happened, especially I honestly don't know. I mean, I guess it's hard to say either way, but I don't know if 2020 would have been a good year for me had it not been like for that mind, like that frame of mind. Because it was really easy to be like the worst year, and it would have like no one would blame me or no one would blame anybody for having a bad year. But it has ended up being, outside from the world burning, it ended up being great.
Well, Rod, we were coming to the end of our program here, and at the end of our program, we're getting so into this, we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg, but we wanted to ask you, what's your future good? What's coming up for Rod Kim?
So probably by the time this is out, I'll have my website set up. I asked some Patreon supporters to take a look at it for me, and they have a lot of feedback, so I have a lot of work to do. But that's just,
I don't know, that's really good.
That's going to kind of, I want to kind of make that a place, especially because the whole songwriting thing is kind of like more of like a behind the scenes thing. If you want to kind of follow that thing, and I also would love to somehow like encourage anybody who wants to be a songwriter, like to know like that can be a thing. And also like one of the non-Asian prejudices that I've come across, when somebody says like, oh, you're a songwriter, you just write lyrics. There's nothing wrong with being a lyricist. I was like, I write music, I write lyrics, like everything. Like it's
sometimes words are the hardest part.
Yeah, but like it's not just that. It's like, I know I said I wanted to just do this, but like not that focused, you know. So follow my socials. On Twitter it's just Rod Kim. On Instagram it's Rod Kim Rocks. I have my old music professor Dr. Michael Johnson to thank for that one, because he thought I needed a encouragement, a motivational boost.
Rod Kim Rocks.
Yeah. And my YouTube channel, which has very little to do with music. One of them has a lot to do with music. Is RKVC. It's where I have like interviews with Ron Wasserman, who wrote the X-Men and Power Rangers theme song, and the Patty and Michael Silversher, who wrote Gummy Bears and Tailspin theme songs. And recently I just did an interview with Ryan Elder, who does all the music for Rick and Morty, including the theme song.
I was watching that one. It was a really cool interview.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So those interviews also like had, I guess I'll backtrack just a little bit. When I interviewed Ron Wasserman, or me and some friends interviewed Ron Wasserman, one of the things that opened up everything to me as a songwriter was on the X-Men theme song. Well, on all his theme songs, there's this epic guitar solos, right? And when we were interviewing him, we're like, how long have you been playing guitar? He's like, I don't play guitar. He's like, but there's guitars on everything. And he's like, I'm a piano player, so I just play on keyboard. And I'm like, what?
Wait, so like, the entire...
Guess what Rod's writing now?
Nice.
Yes.
So Ryan Elder, Rick and Morty, I think one of my favorite parts of that was I was kind of a little bit venting to him, but also asking his perspective. It was like when a lot of my peers who are in the middle of things, or in the middle of their career, always complain like, if I only had the time or the budget or whatever, I could do things. That's their excuse. Mm-hmm. Like, what would you tell them? Like, what would you tell the guy who said like, if I had a month to do this score, I could do it instead of a day? He's like, learn how not to do it in a month. Like, he's like, just do better. And also the middle's the best part. So like, it was really, he still considers himself in the middle that way because he has like a show that's like been renewed for like 60 some odd episodes or something like that. Yeah. So I think he's doing quite well, but it was really cool to see that.
I think that's so hard when you're in the middle of it and you don't see how good it is. I feel like I've had those moments in my life where it's like you're struggling, you're trying so hard, and it isn't until you get like somewhere in the middle where you have a moment where like all of what's good about it, all that hard work kind of just reveals itself to you in this crystallizing moment, and you do get to have that revelation of like, oh shit, I am here. All of that work and all of that struggle of like being like, I'm not there yet, it all comes together and you're like, oh, okay, it is happening right now. Cool, I should get back to it. Like,
yeah, get back to work.
It's a really cool moment.
And then the other YouTube channel that's kind of like the fledgling one is super, super small. It's just the Rod Kim YouTube channel. It's linked to the RKVC channel. But that one is just kind of like, whatever. The very first video I posted, well, the first video I posted like as that channel, like as I reopened it, was about me making French fries every night of the lockdown. But then it ties back to being grateful. So, like,
do you have an air fryer?
No.
Okay.
Actually, the opening thing was like, yeah, I baked them in the oven. Judge me, No.
No. Get an air fryer. You'll thank me later. It's a revelation.
I've been looking at
French fries will never be soggy again.
You're selling me.
I've looked at them. I honestly get intimidated because I think I was at Kohl's or whatever. Like, I don't look at air fryers. I'm like looking. I'm like, I don't know which one's the good one because they range from like $80 to like $500, and they have these weird features. I don't know what they mean. Like one of them's like you can put a whole turkey in here. Like, I don't know.
It's a really good way to be like just have this halfway between an oven and a microwave, where if you
Yeah.
just need to heat something up, but you want it to have the crispiness of just being crispy and not soggy, and then just doing it in a short amount of, it's just wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. But yeah, that channel is like this stuff like that. I think the more recent things I posted on there were my debut album from 10 years ago, turned 10 years old last fall. So had a little celebration. Thank you. I had a little celebration in there about that, and some YouTube friends of mine like did covers of the songs from the first album. So that's a fun. It's a long one, but it's fun. But those
awesome.
those things, and then I try to keep people updated on my socials and stuff about like the projects that I've written on and everything. A lot of them are tied up in some sort of NDA, or it's not like ready to be released. There's a few things. If you want to check a few things out now, I recently wrote the end theme song to the animated series Yo Mama.
Yeah.
They did a whole anime sequence. I got to work with the J-pop singer on that. That was incredible. It was my first bilingual songwrite. Actually, shout out to Zack James, who does Yo Mama. He was one of the moments that like kind of like he was the opposite of what I talked about with all the diversity of Asian Americans in music or entertainment. Because after that song, he was like, he loved it. Then there's another show that Anime Studios is the name of the studio. They're coming out with another show called Joe Mama at the end of this year. It's gonna have a
spinoff,
crazy budget. I don't even know if he's saying yet, but it's probably the biggest budget I've ever worked on. But
hell yeah.
He had me write the main credit theme song, so I'm gonna have the main credit for that one. But we were auditioning. I was auditioning singers because it's a rock song, like a hard rock song. And one of the things one of my like gaslighters in the past had told me, it like really hammered home. This is someone I trusted, so that's why I took it in. Was like, you're a soft singer songwriter. You're Asian American dude. And like this, you're not into like aggressive stuff. Like that's not this. You don't do it well. You won't do that. And so Zach was one of the guys. He was like, I just want to hear you try it. And then I tried it, and him and all the producers were just like, we need to get you in the studio to do the final vocal and stuff. So I'm the
Yes.
performer
Yes.
of the final theme.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And then he himself is coming out with his debut album soon, and he has me feature on like one of like the rock songs. There's like rap and rock on there. He has me feature on one of the rock songs there too. So like, actually, for my first time in the recording studio in almost a year was I want to say a little less than a month ago. I was in downtown LA. I was recording the vocals for my feature on that song, and the engineer there had said something to the effect of like, he's like, how long have you been doing this? I sound like I'm bragging, but I'm really proud of it. Like he's like, how long have you been doing this? And I was like,
this whole thing
brag.
is meant to be a brag.
Okay.
session,
Brag,
so, like,
brag,
he,
brag.
He was like, how long have you been doing this? And I was like music, like a long time. I was like, no, like, or there's like this like genre. He's like, yeah, like the rock stuff. And I was like, literally, this is like the second time I've done it because Zach thinks I can do it. And he's like, no, man, I can't even hear you like other stuff. Like you're like natural at this. So I was like, oh man, like, all right, I guess just start considering this stuff, and that opened up everything. So when you asked like one of the things that kept me going, I think part of that answer I forgot to mention before was I saved that voicemail I that he sent that was like so like he was so excited like and just praising me up and down, and like I have not heard, and this is from like another like straight cis like white guy, 30 some odd year old white guy, and like and it was like, and he's fairly wealthy and obviously in a position of power and stuff, like not a like had every option to just kind of like put me under his thumb and maybe work and whatever, but like really like lifted me up through the whole process, and that begat me just being confident about like, I'm going to take on a German artist, I'm going to do this, I wrote like a jazz pop theme yesterday for something else. It's like, I don't know how to do that, I'm going to figure it out, and they loved it.
Hell yeah.
So it turns out I just needed to like turn off the gaslighting voices, or just cut them out of my life, And so, but yeah, so long wait. Joe Mama's coming soon. There's several podcast themes, and like the only thing I haven't gotten into is I would love to have a song like in a movie or something, but working the way there.
It's coming.
There's still time.
There's still time.
I was gonna say, if there's anything that this conversation has taught us, it's that patience and perseverance will eventually lead you to something good.
Yeah.
As long as it's done in a healthy way.
And if there's anything I would love to leave with everybody listening, which is like, just, even if it's just a little bit, I would love people to like just find something to be thankful for, or grateful for, or whatever, or try to refocus a little bit that way. And I know it's harder for some other people that don't have things as easy as like I do, but I think it's worth trying because it might help, because it helped me a lot. And I didn't really think it would do this much, so.
Yeah.
Well,
that
I'm thankful for you.
Yeah, I'm
for
thankful
being
for
here.
you too.
That's what I'm grateful for right now.
Rod, you have been a gentleman, you've been a scholar, and you've been grateful.
We're not worthy.
That.
That's all I've learned from this podcast.
No.
Rod,
I'm just making it up as I go along.
So are we.
So are we, bro. So are we.
Dude, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, and we will definitely be chatting soon.
Wow, that was an incredible episode with Rod.
I love that, man. I love him a lot. He's a great person, extremely talented, and there's some people that you definitely wish success for, but you know that they're just gonna be able to go out and get it. And Rod is one of those people that I feel has that.
100%.
His level of patience that he's able to kind of harness and hone, that was able to get him through 2020, and just his sheer determination. It's motivating for me that,
Absolutely.
You set yourself a goal, you can go out and do it. But also, one thing that we just want to call out to everybody, sorry for the really bad segue, but there's something that happened after the point of us recording this interview with Rod, which was the Atlanta shooting on March 16th. While there was a lot of notable incidences of Asian hatred prior to this, which we subtly discussed with Rod, we felt necessary to reach out to Rod to see if there was any other commentary and any other points that we should hear from him in regards to the events that happened on that day, how he was feeling. And we wanted to find that way to just get his thoughts out there even more. Yeah. So we asked Rod to send us his thoughts, and we wanted to share them with you. And here they are.
Yeah, please take a listen.
Hi, this is Future Rod. I want to thank Mike and Byron for reaching out and asking me if I had anything else to say, since a few days after recording the podcast, a tragedy happened in Atlanta. And I have a lot of things I want to say, and I don't feel like I'm the most well-spoken person. So I'm going to read a couple posts that I put up on social media that I feel like kind of encapsulate mostly what I want to say, and also is just better than me rambling. When I caught up on the news about what happened in Atlanta, I took a little bit of time to process it and said the following. I'm just catching up on the news, and today was a heartbreaker. I've only shared with a few friends in my lifetime about some really fucked up racist experiences that date back to when I was way younger than any child should be for any of it. The few times I brought it up to adults or authorities at the time, I got brushed off with, "That doesn't happen here in our town." Most of it is stuff that I only want to talk to a therapist about, but in general, I didn't feel safe. Not emotionally, like physically. And granted, that got to be less and less as I got older and moved different places. And currently where I am, I don't feel that way at all, and I haven't been a victim of the recent wave of Asian brutality. But there was a time that the worst I imagined was the headline from Atlanta today, and the others we've seen this past year. To be clear, I am fine. I've either not seen or just become jaded to the bulk of it, but there's some kid out there, like the kid that I was, that is trying to tell someone and not being heard until a bunch of violence and fatal shootings in their neighborhood happens by people who think their lives are worthless because they're Asian. I don't want to sound like or inspire any slacktivism here. I just want anyone who doesn't know, it's real, and kids like me were gaslighted for decades of our lives to pretend it wasn't, and today added to that body count. I could go on for a long time about the roller coaster of emotions that have happened since then, but the few points that I really want to leave with everyone listening is the Asian American hate does have a history in America, and it's not everyone, but it is heavy and it is real. And if you weren't aware of it or you didn't believe anyone that talked about it before, please know that it is real and that you should believe them. And B, I think the best way to make progress, both individually and as a society, is to listen to not just the Asian American community and adjacent communities to yourself, but just any sort of marginalized group, because there's a lot of differences, but there's also a lot of similarities. And I think once you're able to see the pattern of hate throughout history for any sort of marginalized group, you'll be able to better recognize it to not make the same mistakes in the future. That brings me to point C, is just realize whether it's Asian Americans, Black Americans, LGBTQ, any other marginalized group, no individual group is a monolith. And not everybody in these individual communities will agree on everything. So it's going to be a little bit varied from experience to experience. But the more you listen, I think the more the spirit of being empathetic and listening and not making the same mistakes in the future will just kind of make progress. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but we can start working on it now. I think the last thing I'd like to bring up is if you want to hear a little bit more of my kind of raw thoughts on it, I feel like I was kind of within like a rational mindset after the Atlanta tragedy until I saw a video by a woman named Amber Ruffin. I'll send Mike and Byron the link to that video, and she was able to articulate so many things for kids like me growing up Asian American in like a pretty much all white neighborhood, and it ripped down all that rationale for me, and it was just emotions for a couple of days, and I wasn't feeling great. I'll link an IGTV video that you can watch that I recorded kind of like just in the moment. And it's an ugly cry. It's unedited, and I'm a little bit embarrassed by it, just from a pride standpoint. But I'm glad that it's out there, because it's like an uncurated reaction from myself. And like I said, this community isn't a monolith, so my feelings might not reflect 100% someone else's feelings in a similar situation. But I hope it can show how deeply this can affect someone. So briefly to recap, if all of this is new to you and you didn't grow up in any of these marginalized communities, just listen. I think that's the best start. And if you're part of any of these marginalized communities, just know you're not alone. I know this is really cliched, but take heart that the conversation is happening at a national and international level, and that it's not fair that you have the challenges that you've been presented with, and it's not fair that you have to deal with it. But I'm glad you're here and you're hanging on, and I hope that you keep hanging on. And I'm thankful for platforms like this podcast that give us a place to speak. I could go on for a while. If you want to follow up at all, the guys have linked all my socials, and I'm more than happy to communicate and talk to anybody as I have time. And just know that I'm rooting for you, and maybe I'll be back to talk a little bit more about some stuff.
Thank you so much, Rod, for talking to us, for sharing that. I'm incredibly grateful to him for willing to be vulnerable enough with us to share all of his thoughts on such an important issue.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we also want to do here is find a way to be able to help and amplify these voices that might not normally be able to be heard. So, and also educate those who might not know much on this. So we do have a variety of things that we do recommend that our listeners do when they're looking and researching these tragedies that affect many minority groups in the US. So some of the things that you can do good is, if you see a hate crime in progress or you see something online of hate speech, we do recommend that you report it. Go to one of the organizations that will make sure that we tag on our social feeds so that you can do something about this. Also, when you're reading and sharing stories, check your sources, and just make sure that they're legit, and then amplify them if they're legit, because education is the best thing that one can do. Also, support your Asian-owned businesses and restaurants. You know that they are being attacked, you know that they are being striked against during these times because of poor racial prejudices. And you know that they're some of the best restaurants that are out there. I can at least say that for my neighborhood. So go out and support them. And also make sure, donate to some good causes, donate to some charities that help Asian American and Pacific Islander community.
We have a couple here that will mention. There's the Stop AAP I Hate organization that you can go to, stopaapihate.org. There's the Asian Pacific Environmental Network, which is, you can find them at APEN4EJ.org. You can also find the API Equality NorCal at APIENC.org. And we're also going to be posting about some more of these organizations. We're going to try to post some of the GoFundMes to organizations that are supporting families, journalists, people who Asian American communities that have been greatly affected and greatly hurt by all of this recent violence against our Asian American friends.
Yeah. So with that, the last thing that we want to leave you with is remember the golden rule. If you do good to others, others will do good unto you. Be good, put good out in the world. It'll find its way back to you. And we cannot wait for you to join us on the next podcast. Remember to like and subscribe us at everywhere that you listen to podcasts to. You can also find us on all of the social medias at FillGoodPod. And you can also email us at thefillgoodpodcast@gmail.com.
Also, if you would like to talk to us a little bit more, engage with our community, we've just started a Discord and we would love to hear from you and talk to you. We will have a link available on our social media for where you can find the Discord, and join us, please. We'd love to hear from you.
Also, a big thanks, as always, to our sound engineer, Wes Underwood, and our producer, Alexia VanWaes, for helping us get this thing together.
We would not be here without the little team that we've cultivated for this.
Exactly. So until next time, everybody, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.
See you on the flippity flop.
Flip, flop, you don't
Flip
stop.
it up,
Let's go.
flip.